Alright, boys, I got about a 20-minute drive, so I thought I would just kind of record a video talking about what we're looking at for the Madden 26 season. We had a good Madden 25 season. Ended kind of abruptly, but overall I think it was a pretty good season. Or, I guess, game, whatever we want to call it. Upcoming changes, though. Well, wait, let me also add, I'm going to put this all in writing after, like, if someone doesn't watch this or whatever, that's fine. I'm gonna probably put it in writing and make you guys like check it, so I know that you've at least acknowledged the changes. So if you forget something, you don't need to go out and rewatch this whole thing. This just seemed easier to record because sometimes writing doesn't necessarily demonstrate what you want to say or whatnot, and just got a short drive here. So changes we're making. I've talked to the office about this some, and one of the, I would say the biggest one is rosters. Our last, and I'm one of the biggest culprits of this, like what I'm about to say, is our last franchise, everyone just like blew up their team. That is no longer going to be a thing. We are going to go for we're transitioning to a more realistic roster management to less restrictive gameplay. So what I mean by that is you're going to have a limit on trades. I think it's going to be 5. Every team's going to have an untouchables list. I don't know, I'm talking like 3 or 4 players. I'm not talking like your whole roster. If you're maybe like the Titans, you might only have like 1 guy, but I would say, we could say 4 max. But if you're like the Ravens, think Lamar, Kyle Hamilton, Nate Wiggins, and those guys can't be traded for the first 2 years of the franchise, because it's just not realistic. They wouldn't be traded in real life. And yeah, I think we've explored that idea years ago, and I don't really know what we did with it, but every team will have an untouchables list that they can't be traded for the first 2 seasons. Oh, what is my mouth doing? Sorry, guys. What is going on here? My mouth decides to break right now. That's great timing. So there's that. The other part of it is trades. Just as a whole, the goal for everyone, which is a good goal, like everyone wants this, was everyone was trading and just trying to get younger players, which is fine. They develop faster, and don't blame anyone. I did it too. But it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic to have an entire roster full of guys that are 24 and below. So I don't know exactly how to word it, but essentially you cannot just blow up your whole team to try to get guys that are rookies. All rookie teams aren't a thing. You need to have some veterans. You need to have some rookies. I guess what we're shooting for in simple is balance. You need to have a roster with everyone. So I don't know exactly what that will look like when we get in. But like, I really don't know how to word it. You can't just trade everyone for young players only. So let's see. We got the trade limit. There's an untouchables. You can't trade from young. The trade committee will likely transition to Devin, myself, and one other that I'm not entirely sure at the moment. But that way, we're really monitoring trades a little more. Your 86 overall, 23-year-old corner should not just go for pick 15. We're going to use Neon as a guide, but and you should use Neon as a guide for your trades, but we're not going to use Neon just because they both might equal 1,500 does not mean we're saying yes. So just understand that, note that. I think the last roster restriction, I think I covered them all, is we still will have the speed one. You can only have 2 guys 95 or above on each side of the ball. And then the other one is your receivers and corners. You can only have 1 guy over 6'4". And while that sounds silly, find me an NFL team with 4, 6, 5 receivers. Like, that's also just not unrealistic. That's not realistic to have. So that is one roster restriction. So basically, there's a lot more roster restrictions than before, but that is intentional. You need to try to have more of a realistic GM mindset and simple. And there will be, like, you can still only own 3 first-rounders, 3 second-rounders, and then after the second-rounder, I don't really care after that. But also, while I'm on that topic, sorry, I'm kind of rambling, the vice versa. We had guys also that were selling every draft pick for higher overalls, which is, again, that's not a bad strategy, but that's also not going to fly. You need to also use some of your draft picks, even if it's the computer and you need to set a draft board. But the reason for that is some of you run into cap issues and then come running to me, and it's because you're doing that, where you're going for all the guys with $20 million contracts. So you need to use your draft picks also. I'm not saying you can't do that too, but you can't trade every single draft pick because you're not drafting, essentially. Because that's on you if you miss the draft. It will pretty much be right after the Super Bowl every year, so I don't know what to say beyond that. I think that's last part. This is the cornerstones, because you have an untouchables list that I'm not saying it negates the cornerstone. It just doesn't help it necessarily. But we are doing something new. Every team will get a cornerstone. The cornerstone is going to be a Hall of Famer or a legend that played for your team. And they have to have been drafted by your team. So you can start thinking about that now. Basically, I'm going to change a shit rookie. I'll find a rookie in your roster that's like 55 overall. And they're going to, let's say I did Antonio Gates. I would change him to tight end, Antonio Gates. I would look up their height and weight that they were when they played. Everything will be to what they played. They will be a 65 overall X Factor dev, and they will have a contract of 6 years, $60 million. So you can think about that. It's a little bit of a fun change. But every roster will get a Hall of Famer added. The condition, Hall of Famer or legend, someone, don't just pick some random receiver, essentially, is what I'm saying. Pick someone that was well known to that fan base, that they look back and were like, yeah. But they have to have been drafted by that team. If they were not drafted by that team, it's a no-go. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so I think that's it for rosters. The next thing I wanted to cover was schedules. Every year I get shit for it. I'm sure I will, even though I'm telling you what we're doing exactly on the pace of the league. We are a 24 to 48 hour league. And what I mean by that, I'm going to be really consistent about this, is I'm going to, let's say it's a Monday to Wednesday sim. The template will have Monday, Wednesday. We can say 8 to 8. I will make channels at 3 p.m. The template will say that and all. Then and then we'll sim at 8 and all that. The next day, on Tuesday, I will go look at all the channels at 3 p.m. If there is nothing locked in at 3 p.m., which is exactly 24 hours after channels were made, for Wednesday, I will then make channels to sim that night at the latest game schedule. If there's something scheduled for Wednesday, I will not sim, obviously. So essentially what I'm going to do is every day around 3, I am going to check to see if there's any games scheduled for the next day. And if there are, then we wait. If there aren't, then I will make channels. So the easiest way is to check at 3 every day to see if you see channels made or not. I just think that that's the easiest way to do it. I'll try to be really consistent about it, but I'm not rushing any sims. If you do not have a time locked in for the next day, and I really, honestly, I'll also add, I do not give a shit if you both posted your template and it's very clear you can play Wednesday, but there is not a single message after that. Like, I'm simming on you. I don't care. That's lack of scheduling. Just because you posted your template doesn't mean shit to me. You need to actually lock in a time. And when I say lock in a time, it does not need to be 6 o'clock on Wednesday exactly. Like, if you are unsure, you could say around 6, you could say in between 6 to 8. Like, I don't need it precise, but you need to have a general time frame that you're both logging on, or at least revisiting the conversation. But if there's nothing, no, I'm not doing it. So yeah, that's the simplicity of that. I feel like there was something else I wanted to cover. I think the other thing on my list was the crash outs. I'm not going to name names. You know who you are. The flipping out because the game's hoeing you or whatnot, you're just getting timed out. I don't care if you're in league office. I don't care if you're going to send me messages to my DM drunk and mad at me. Like, I'll just remove you. No one gets a special pass. We're not crashing out over a video game. And if you go to the DMs to someone else, if you need to do that. It's just not fair to your opponent is how I view it. But the other thing is, like, I just had it versus Meek or in NCAA where I was getting absolutely hoed the whole game, and then the next game he was getting absolutely hoed the whole game. Like, it's a balancing act. And while it sucks, it's just the reality of it. So that was that. I feel like I'm forgetting. Oh, the last thing was the store. And the tournament. So the store, I'm probably messing with the store. I don't know exactly what that looks like. I can tell you, though, the one that everyone's going to be, I don't know, saying pissed about, but not happy about, is the physical is either going to be more expensive or removed. Just a lot of people, like, Tua does not have 94 throw power, and he did in our franchise, and that's a little much. So I'm not entirely sure. I might talk to league office about this, but expect a little bit of an overhaul with the store. I might simplify it, but we'll see on that one. And the last one, but is the tournament. So the tournament, we are going to launch it on, I think, the 15th. I think that's when the official game comes out. I know some of you have the pre-release and whatnot. But we're going to, I think right now we have 16, which would just give us 4 divisions of 4. And then essentially you'll play everyone in your division. The top 2 players will move on in each conference. Like, you'll play everyone, top 2 records, and like points scored and whatnot will move on. And then those 8 will then face off and go down to 4, then 2, then the winner. So that will be exciting, and then we'll launch after that. Depending on time frame, we may wait for a first patch, but I'll be honest, it's less likely. But if it's like first patch comes out in 2 days, we'll wait the 2 days. So we will see on that end though. But expect like sometime around like the 24th, I think, was the goal I was originally shooting for, that will really start up. So I think that's it. I think I said earlier we talked about the roster restriction, more restrictive game or less restrictive gameplay, and I genuinely mean that. The gameplay, I'm gonna simplify the rules even more. I'm not gonna babysit exactly what everyone's doing, but the biggest thing is just we're not spamming. If you're spamming stuff, that's how you, and I'm talking about like same drive. Like, I do not want a clip of someone running mesh 4 times in one drive, or 5 stretch plays, like even 3 stretch plays. Like, that's unnecessary. So as long as you're mixing it up, that's really all I care about. That, and I'll probably leave the pass to run or run to pass ratio, which I may actually kind of enforce, because the most annoying thing is you're like, when people are like, well, I couldn't meet it because I went down 14-0, but that means you weren't running, but then you end the game with 3 carries total, that means 1, you never had just like a second of 1, you could have ran it, or 2, that means you never ran it to begin with. So I might not be like strict about it, but like if you're ending a game with 4 carries, that's when I'll have an issue. Like, at least make a partial effort, and then I won't give a shit. So I think that's it. So I'll upload this. Hopefully you guys watch it. But like I said, I'll put this in writing, and then that'll be it.